You close your bedroom door at night? Maybe your cat was keeping you awake. Maybe they walk on your face at 4 a.m. Maybe your partner said, "It's either me or the cat in this bed." So you started closing the door, and your cat meowed for a while. Then they stopped, and you figured they got used to it. They didn't get used to it. They stopped asking. And those are two very different things, because here's what nobody tells you. When you close that door, you're not just blocking a room. You're doing something to your cat's emotional wiring that most owners would never do if they understood what it actually felt like on the other side. By the time we get to number 7, you'll understand what happens in your cat's body during those hours behind a closed door. And it might make you reconsider the one decision you thought was harmless. Let's start with what most people tell themselves. 1. They'll get used to it is the biggest lie in cat ownership. Every article says it. Every form repeats it. Just close the door consistently and they'll adjust. And on the surface, it looks true. The first night, they meow for an hour. The second night, 40 minutes. By the end of the week, maybe 10 minutes. By the end of the month, silence. Problem solved. Cat adjusted. But here's the thing. Silence is not acceptance. Silence is what happens when a cat learns that vocalizing doesn't change the outcome. It's called learned helplessness in behavioral science. The animal doesn't stop wanting the thing. They stop believing the thing is possible. This pattern has been studied extensively in animal behavior. When an animal repeatedly signals a need and receives no response, the signaling decreases. But the stress doesn't. Internal cortisol levels remain elevated. Anxiety behaviors shift to different outlets. The need itself doesn't shrink. The cat just stops telling you about it. Your cat didn't get used to the closed door. Your cat gave up on the closed door. And there's a specific kind of heartbreak in that distinction that most owners never sit with long enough to feel. 2. You are their primary safety system. The door disconnects it. Why does a closed door matter so much to a cat? It's just a room. They have the rest of the house. They have food, water, their litter box, perfectly comfortable surfaces to sleep on. Why do they act like a closed bedroom door is the end of the world? Because for your cat, safety isn't a place. It's a person. A 2019 study from Oregon State University tested attachment styles in domestic cats and found that 64% of cats exhibit secure attachment to their owners. That means the majority of cats use their owner as what psychologists call a secure base. The human's presence regulates their stress. The human's absence creates measurable anxiety, not the absence from the house, the absence from reach. When you're on the other side of a closed door, your cat can smell you. They might hear you breathing. They know you're there, but they can't get to you. And for an animal whose entire security system is built on access to one specific person, being able to detect you but not reach you is worse than you being gone entirely. It's the emotional equivalent of seeing someone through glass, close enough to sense, too far to touch, and no way to close the gap. The door doesn't just block a room. It blocks the one thing that makes your cat's nervous system work properly, you. And hey, if this is already making you think about that door differently, hit that like button and subscribe. That's how we get these videos to more cat owners who need to hear what's happening on the other side. 3. They meow at the door because they're checking if the bond still works. That meowing at 2 a.m., the scratching, the paw shoved under the gap, most people hear annoyance, neediness, drama. They just want attention. And yeah, they do want attention. But the word attention doesn't come close to describing what they're actually asking for. In cat behavior, vocalization directed at a closed barrier is a contact call. It's the same type of sound a kitten makes when separated from its mother. The same frequency range, the same urgency pattern, the same escalation from soft to loud when no response comes. Your adult cat, sitting outside your bedroom door at midnight, is making a kitten sound, not because they regressed, because the situation triggered the same neural circuitry, separation from the primary attachment figure, barrier preventing reunion, uncertainty about whether the bond is still intact. Every meow at that door is a question. Are you still there? Can you still hear me? Will you still come? And every night you don't respond, the question gets quieter, not because the answer stopped mattering, because your cat started to assume they already knew it. 4. The paw under the door is the last attempt. You've seen it, that single paw, reaching under the gap, sliding left and right, sometimes just sitting there flat on the floor, motionless, as if just having something on your side of the door's enough. Most people find this cute or funny. They take photos of it. They post it online. Look at my little weirdo trying to break in. But what that paw is doing is not entertainment. It's a last resort contact attempt. When vocalization fails and the barrier doesn't open, cats shift to tactile seeking. They try to create physical contact through whatever means the environment allows. The gap under the door is the only remaining connection point, and that paw reaching through it is your cat trying to touch you, or at minimum, trying to touch the space where you exist. My cat did this for 3 nights when I closed the door during a period when I was sick and didn't want to be disturbed. By the 3rd night, he wasn't meowing anymore, just the paw, flat on the floor, under the door, not moving. I opened the door, and he didn't rush in. He just looked up at me, walked to the bed, curled up against my leg, and purred so hard his whole body shook. That wasn't a cat who wanted to play. That was a cat who'd been asking the same question for 3 nights, and finally got an answer. 5. They don't sleep well without you. Here's the part that hits practically. When you close the door, you might sleep better, less interruption. No cat walking on your face, no 4 a.m. paw to the nose. You wake up more rested. It seems like a win, but your cat isn't sleeping better. Research on feline sleep patterns shows that cats who sleep in proximity to their bonded owner enter deep sleep phases more frequently and for longer durations than cats who sleep alone. Deep sleep is when the body repairs tissue, processes stress hormones, and consolidates memory. It's not optional. It's necessary. A cat on the other side of a closed door doesn't get that deep sleep. Their system stays in a lighter, more alert state because the one signal that tells their brain you can fully let go is missing: your presence, your breathing, your heartbeat. Without that baseline, their nervous system keeps one eye open, not dramatically, not in a way you'd notice, just enough that the sleep they're getting isn't the sleep they need. You're sleeping better, they're sleeping worse, and over weeks and months, that deficit compounds. A cat who never fully rests is a cat whose stress response stays slightly elevated at all times. They might become more irritable, more withdrawn, more prone to overgrooming, not because of the door itself, because of the sleep they're losing behind it. 6. They start to reorganize their world without you in it. This is the part most owners never see coming because it happens slowly. So slowly, you might not notice until it's done. A cat who is consistently shut out of the bedroom begins to adjust their internal map. The bedroom was part of their territory. It was the most important part, actually, because that's where their primary attachment figure spent 8 hours every night. That room wasn't just a room. It was headquarters, the center of the colony. When access gets cut off, the cat doesn't just lose a room. They lose the center of their map, and over time, they rebuild. They find a new sleeping spot. They establish new routines that don't include the bedroom. They stop waiting at the door. They stop meowing. They stop trying. And here's the hard part. They also recalibrate the bond, not consciously, not with resentment, but practically. The person who used to be available for 8 uninterrupted hours is now available for 16 waking hours and 0 sleeping hours. The cat adjusts. They become slightly more independent, slightly less clingy, slightly less likely to follow you around during the day. Most owners interpret this as the cat maturing, getting more independent. See, they adjusted. They didn't adjust. They detached. By exactly the amount the closed door taught them to. You won't notice a dramatic change. There won't be a moment where your cat suddenly feels distant. It's more like a photograph that fades so slowly you don't realize the colors are gone until someone shows you what it used to look like. 7. That door was never about the room. It was about what you mean to them. Here's what every point has been building toward, and it's the one thing I need you to sit with. Your cat doesn't care about your bedroom. They don't care about your mattress, your pillows, or the temperature of the room. They've proven this 1,000 times by falling asleep on a tile floor in the middle of winter. What they care about is you. Specifically, the version of you that exists at night, the one that lies still, the one that breathes slowly, the one whose heartbeat drops into a steady, predictable rhythm, the one whose body gives off warmth and scent for 8 straight hours, the one who, for the only time in the entire day, isn't going anywhere. Nighttime you is the most accessible, most predictable, most available version of you that exists. And it's the version your cat built their entire security system around. When you close that door, you're not taking away a room. You're taking away the best version of yourself, the one your cat relies on most, the one that tells their nervous system every single night that the world is safe and the bond is intact and everything is exactly where it should be. Your cat meowed at that door because the safest place they know was suddenly behind a wall they couldn't get through. They scratched at it because their paws are the only tools they have. They pushed that single paw under the gap because touching the air on your side of the door was better than touching nothing at all. And when they stopped, when the meowing ended and the scratching faded and the paw stopped appearing, that wasn't peace. That was your cat learning to live without the one thing they needed most. I'm not telling you to never close the door. There are real reasons to do it. Allergies, sleep disorders, a partner who can't function without uninterrupted rest. Those reasons are valid. But if you can leave it open, leave it open. Because every night that door stays closed, your cat is on the other side, learning the same lesson over and over, that the safest place in their world has a wall in front of it, and they're not allowed in. And every night you leave it open, a small animal walks through it, climbs onto your bed, presses against your body, and feels the one thing they spent all day waiting to feel again, that they still belong, that the bond still holds, that the center of their world still has room for them in it. The door was never about sleep. It was about whether your cat still gets to be home, and home should never have a lock on it.